Wednesday with Orchid, a very famous date. It is on the 28th of June, and it will be in the introduction lectures, and we are starting at 6:30. In the last class, we had discussed the LMX theory, and the LMX theory has a focus on treating subordinates in an equal way. And then we have discussed dyadic relationship. So, first question, what is the dyadic relationship in the LMX theory? Right, not really. What is your idea from the dyadic relationship? Any idea? What is your idea? What was the dyadic relationship? The dyadic relationship. This one? This is the dyadic relationship. And what is the meaning? What is dyadic relationship? Here. You, what is dyadic? What is dyadic? What is your idea? Who has an idea? What is your idea? Dyadic relationship. What is your idea? Dyadic relationship. We have discussed this. Do you have an idea? A little bit louder. Interaction between the follower and the leader. That means the follower, that is the leader, and that is dyadic relationship, and dyadic means two. That is the relationship between groups. So we have a series of relationships between the leader and the subordinate, and this is the so-called vertical dyadic relationship. Here. And this. So, and then we had a discussion about in-groups and out-groups. Who can bring us a characteristic of the out-group? What is the characteristic of out-group? You. Who has an idea? Do you have an idea? Who has an idea for the out-group? First, a general idea. What is an out-group? In general, and then we go into the characteristics specific. So, in general, what is an out-group? What is an out-group? It is this. The outgroup is based on extended and negotiated role responsibilities. This is the general idea of outgroup. And of in-group. Sorry, this is the general idea of the in-group. And the general idea of an outgroup is based on formal employment contracts. That is the out-group definition. So, let's go into the in-group. Once again, what are the characteristics of the in-group? The in-group is based on the extended negotiation of the responsibilities. That's the in-group. So, and what are the characteristics of the in-group? How can you move on an in-group? What is the booster? How can you boost it up, the in-group? How can you make it dynamic? what is the characteristic for the in-group? What do you think? What is the characteristic or a bundle of characteristics in the in-group? Who has an idea? Here, you. Do you have an idea?
I have, well, the leader has very basic roles that it has difference to the followers
confidence, respect, likings, mutual accountability, all these are characteristics of the in-group and the reciprocal influence. Reciprocal influence, that's very important factor. Now we want to go to the out-group characteristics. What are the out-group characteristics? What do you think? Out-group is very formal. What is the out-group characteristic? What's your idea? What's your idea? Out-group characteristic. You. Employment, formal, contract. What is your idea? Your idea. Characteristic. Who has an idea? It's very easy. Who has an idea? Please.
The relation is more formal and it's just between the leader with it's based on the contract.
Okay. Yes. Very good. Okay. Exactly. It's based on the formal contract specifications. Now we want to go a little bit more forward. The question is, what is the advantage of a leader who has good relationships not only to in-groups or not only to out-groups, to all groups? What could be the outcome? The organizational outcome. That's the next question, and this question will be answered by LMX approach in the first step. And then we go in the second step, and the second step is the leadership making in the LMX approach. Different roles, different characteristics, and different steps in leadership making. But first of all, what is the outcome of high quality leader-member exchange? What do you think? What could be an outcome? Think on your own experience. Now you have been treated by your leader in your internship or in your program. What could be an outcome? I will give you one example. One of the positive organizational effectiveness outcomes in the LMX, and all the empirical results have shown this, is that the turnover of the employees is what? Increasing or decreasing? Who has an idea? Increasing or decreasing? But decreasing. Yes, it's reducing turnover. If you have good relationships to all of your equals, not only some of the in-group, all that you have one result, and that's very important for your organizational effectiveness. You have reducing employee turnover. So now we want to discuss some more features of good quality with your good quality relationship with your employees. What is the next one? What do you think could be another outcome if I treat you? You are out-group, you are in-group, but I treat you equally. What could be an outcome? Turnover is reducing, 1 point. Next point. Reducing turnover of your employees. So 1. What is 2? What is number 2? What do you think? The next one is that you have more positive performance evaluation. That's the second one. It's very important. positive performance. More positive performance. That means that you are able to create outcome beyond expectations. That's the point. Outcome beyond expectations, and we will discuss this only also in our class about transformational leadership. This is also one of the keys in the transformational leadership approach. So, this is the second outcome. Later in our guest lecture we will hear some other ideas and more ideas about the change in the leadership and the change in the financial or industrial world. It's something related to this here. Now what is the third one? We have 5. What is the third one? If you have all the same good quality relation to your leader, if you are employees, what do you think is your outcome? Okay, interesting, less confidence. We hold it in our head, less confidence. But I want to point out another thing. It is a higher frequency of what? A higher frequency of what? You think on your daily business, all of you are in group and out group, and I have good relationships as a leader to you all. High quality relationship. That is the message of LMX. High frequency of promotions. More promotions. So, high frequency of promotions. Why? Why is this so? What do you think? High quality relationship all means I know your qualification. I have more information about your performance. And that can lead to more promotions. So, and then we have 2 more points which are very important key points. What is number 4? What could be an outcome if you have high quality relations to your employees? And that is the receipt. And what is the result of this receipt? What is the result? Here. What could be a result? If you think you have, I recommend you think on the goal setting theory, think on the principles of goal setting that motivates the people, and then you will make the circle to this question. Goal setting theory, the principles. You think on the SMART goals, or you think on the other principles, clarity, and so there is one principle which is fulfilled, or which could be really good fulfilled if you have good relations to your, from the leader to the subordinates. So what could be the outcome? The outcome is that you have greater organizational commitment. If you remember, in the goal setting theory, one of the principles has been feedback, commitment, clarity, and other ones. And here we have greater commitment. Greater commitment. So then we have the last one, and the last one is very important for yourself as the leader in the organization. What could be the last one? If you have good relations to your employees, to all, same one, not preferring any people or something. That's not a message. To all, transparent. That's the message. And what could be the outcome for you as the leader? And this is a very important outcome for you. What do you think here? What is your idea? And your? And your? Who has an idea? Who has an idea? What is your idea? Maybe from experience. Yes? Yeah, but very clear. What could be an outcome for you as a leader if you have good relations? It's very practical. Think practical. This is a practical question. What is the outcome? Or what is the outcome if the leader has bad relations to you? What is the outcome then? The leader has bad relations to you. Are you supporting the leader? Are you supporting, yes or no? No, of course. And the opposite way is if you are trying to move your quality in the interpersonal relationship, then you will receive support. Your team will have a better team spirit. The cohesion could be greater, and the cohesion could work for you as the leader, and that is the circle that the employees have greater commitment, and you can expect outcome beyond the expectations. Think practical, not only singular, not only one theory. We have heard a lot of theory. Style approach, situational approach, skill approach, path goal theory, goal setting theory, and now LMX, and later transformational, and later authentic, and later emotional. Bring it together, bind it together, and combine it together. That will bring you the answer of a leadership situation. And now, you want to hear some more answers from our guest lecturer today. Question?
What's this point?
More leader support. More leader support. Now we want to hear some more insights from our guest lecturer today, President Ejaj Ahmad from the Bangladesh Leadership Center. And I will give you some information about our guest lecturer today. And we have a big welcome first to our guest lecturer. I want to tell you some information about our guest lecturer, Mr. Ejaj Ahmad. President Ejaj Ahmad is an honorary teaching fellow of the University of St. Andrews. He is an entrepreneur, and he is a world leader, practitioner, and a consultant in the field of leadership. He is the founder and president of the Bangladesh Youth Leadership Center. And this is the country's first, in Bangladesh, the country's first leadership institute. The vision of the Bangladesh Leadership Center is to create a more inclusive, tolerant, and just society by training the next generation of homegrown leaders. Prior to founding the Bangladesh Youth Leadership Center, Mr. Ahmad worked as an economic and entrepreneur in Bangladesh. He has participated in several World Bank, Bangladesh government projects in areas related to banking, international trade, sustainable environment management, and private sector development. With academic and professional connections across 4 continents, he is an experienced community campaign organizer, and he is a public speaker. Mr. Ahmad is a graduate of the University of St. Andrews in Economics MA. During his time at St. Andrews, he held an elected position in the Students' Association. Then at MIT, Massachusetts, he studied developmental entrepreneurship, and at the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University, where he gained a master's degree in public policy, and he is an alumnus of the Leadership for the 21st Century program at the Dubai School of Government. Once again, a big hand of applause for our
Harry, thank you so much for the very generous introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? I can see that your energy level is very high. We have all been exercising leadership in the form of talking to each other for the past 20 minutes or so while I was sitting and observing. I have been on the plane for the past 15 hours to get here and speak for 1 hour. And I was thinking, why am I here? How did I end up in Frankfurt talking to all of you? I am here because I care about leadership. But before I tell you about my own journey, I want to ask you, why are you here? What brought you to this classroom on leadership for the financial sector? How did you end up here?
I want to be in a leading position.
Louder.
I want to be in a leading position in the finance sector, in a bank or insurance company. Yes.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Why are you here? Is this a compulsory course or an elective course? This course, is it mandatory? That all of you have to, so you chose to take this course. Why did you take this course? One reason could be the faculty is very chilled out, he gives an easy grade, so that resonates with some of you. But why are you here?
Actually, I think that leadership is almost the same in each industry. Like, I don't know if it's the same in finance industry, information industry, or in banking, but I think it's the same. So I want to get in that, like, gain that skill in order to
Anyone else from the back? Let's hear from someone from the back and I'll come to you. Come on, the state of leadership at Frankfurt has to be better than this. Why are you here?
To understand how people behave in a company, not just from a leader perspective, also as an employee. It's interesting.
To understand how people behave in a company, if we start by looking at how people are behaving in this classroom, we can make some connections. That can be a good starting point to understand human behavior.
my bachelor, so I'm just interested in the topic. And last week I talked to Mr. She said it would be yeah, an interesting guest. So I'm here. It's good you.
I'm actually here because I have my own company in Frankfurt at the moment. My dad has like many companies, and I just want to be worthy to inherit these companies, how I should treat his subordinates, how I could become a good leader or be better than my dad is already, so I get a better performance than he has already. So please this topic because of that actually.
So many of you have come here with different expectations. And it's very difficult for me to fulfill all of your expectations. Right? So the challenge for me is, how do I ensure that some of you don't leave this room feeling disappointed at the end of 1 hour? And the next question is it possible for someone to fulfill everyone's expectation? And what can we learn about leadership by thinking about people's expectations from people who are standing in the front? Your faculty or facilitator or authority or people who we call leaders. What can we learn about leadership by looking at this dynamic? He wants to learn how he can better manage his company when he inherits it from his father. Some of you are looking for building your own career in this sector. So what I am about to say, I am not sure is going to be relevant for you. But some of what I am about to say may stick. If they stick, then my hope is they will add some value to your own understanding. But for that to happen, I need you to be present in this room. My commitment to you is I am going to be 100% present with you for the next 1 hour. I'm not going to play with my phone or SMS my wife or my friend. And I also need you to reciprocate that trust. Is that a fair contract? Yes?
Yes.
All right, okay. So that's a good start. We can all be present in the room, not just physically, but also mentally. When I asked Harry, when he invited me, my first question was, who is going to be in the audience? Who am I speaking to? And he said, some of you will be final year undergraduate students, some of you will be master's students, and I have finished my education a while back. So I thought, how do I start with this audience? So I thought maybe I could start talking about when I was 18, a few years younger than you are. And what I thought about leadership when I was 18, I grew up in Bangladesh. My father was a professor of management. So I grew up in a house full of management books. When I was 15 years old, I read my first book on leadership. It was called Effective Leadership by a British management guru called John Ejaj. I was fascinated. And at 15, leadership to me meant two things. One, you have to speak well. Second, you have to be in the front. So that was my understanding of leadership when I was 15. So when I was 17, you start applying to universities. I chose to study at St. Andrews University because it's 600 years old, but also because it had one of the oldest debating chambers in the world. So I thought if I went to St. Andrews, then maybe I can learn a thing or two about leadership. So I go to St. Andrews for 4 years. My degree was economics, but I spent more time running campaigns. I had only one mission for 4 years at St. Andrews University. When I was 18, I was fascinated by a woman called Benazir Bhutto. She is from Pakistan. She studied at Harvard, then she was at Oxford, and Benazir Bhutto was the president of Oxford Union. And then she became the Prime Minister of Pakistan. And I thought, if I can become the president of St. Andrews Union, then maybe I'll have a shot at politics. You know, when you're 18, the connections you make in your life are very straightforward. If I do this, then this will happen. You're very naive and stupid, but I was at least a lot more stupid at that time than I am today, although my wife would probably disagree. She thinks I'm still stupid because I'm running a non-profit. So, for 4 years at St. Andrews, I'm running campaigns. In my third year, I have an elected position in the Students' Union. In my final year, in 2013, I run to become the first non-white president in the history of the university. I'm running against 6 other people. Derek McLeod, one of my best friends from first year, James Nord, and 4 other candidates are running in this election. It's a cross-campus campaign, and then comes the election day, and people vote. And then at 4 in the morning, 2 of my campaign managers came to my door and started knocking. And they said to me, Derek McLeod has become the next St. Andrews University Students' Union president. I was 22, and I thought that was the end of my world. I literally thought that was the end of my world. I had no other hope. But I was so heartbroken with this failure that I decided at that moment, on March 22, 2003, that I am not going to attend my graduation ceremony at St. Andrews. If I ever attend the graduation ceremony, I am going to attend it at a better university. I gave my exams and I requested the university to mail me my certificates. And I just bought a one-way ticket and came back to Bangladesh in 2003. When I started reflecting on, so that's my poster, I have a lot more here. And my campaign slogan was a bit cheesy. You're a man on a mission, serving your interests with honesty and vision. Clearly, it did not work. So, I don't recommend you using something like this if you're running for public office in the future. So this poster was everywhere during the election time. But the reason I call it crucible, because the crucible is a defining moment in a person's life. We all have crucibles. Sometimes when you lose a loving person, or you suffer a loss in your business, or you lose a job, a defining moment in your life. And this defining moment in my life taught me 2 lessons. The number 1 lesson I learned was to practice leadership, one needs to have humility. And humility is the belief that you're not better than others. And the second lesson I learned was restraint. If I cannot control my own emotions, how am I going to control or influence other people if I cannot manage my own emotions? So I started thinking about these ideas, and one clarity I had is maybe I am not suitable for running for public office. That's not my cup of tea. That's one reflection I had. So I come back to Bangladesh, and my father, because he taught at a business school, wanted me to be a banker and become rich. And my father always said to me, economists are very good at understanding money, but they just don't make a lot of money. And that is the story of my life. So instead of joining a bank, I joined a non-profit research think tank as a research economist. for the grand sum of 10,000 Dhaka, which is about $150 a month. But at that point in my life, the most important criteria for selecting a job was I needed to have the right kind of mentor. Because your first job, who is it that you're reporting to? If you have a good supervisor, if your supervisor can show you the way, can guide you, then you can go far in life. And that risk I took by choosing that company. My boss went on to become the governor of the Central Bank of Bangladesh. And of course, his recommendation helped me immensely to get into Harvard later on. So, I worked with him. I worked in Bangladesh for 3 years. And as I am working as an economist, one of the realizations I had is Bangladesh is a poor country, not because of money, but because of leadership. And if you can change the quality of leadership, then you can change the country. So at 26, I wanted to do something on my own. I wanted to do something in the leadership space. But because my father was not a businessman, I did not have a lot of capital, and I also did not have the courage to set up my own organization. So I took a safer option. I go to Harvard, and there I spent 2 years learning about leadership with some of the world's leading authorities in the field. So 2006, 2007, I'm at Harvard, I'm learning about leadership, and I'm developing the business plan of a non-profit in Bangladesh. Then comes 2008 June, when I graduate from Harvard. My father said, son, I spent so much money for your education at St. Andrews. The last thing I want you to do is to come back. Please get that job at the World Bank. Your mother and I can come to the US, we can have a good life, we'll have grandchildren, life is going to be amazing. But I had a co-founder, I had a partner, she was at MIT. We won a competition for $10,000. Just $10,000. And I took a decision that if I have to start something, I have to start it now. Because too many people I have read and I've seen and I've learned that say, I'm going to make my first million. Once I make my first million, I'm going to start giving back to the world. Then they make the first million. Then I'm going to make 1 more million for my children's education. Then I'm going to start giving back to the world. Then they make, you know, my friends are making more, I need to make 10 million. Once I make 10 million, I will give back to the world. I did not want to get trapped. So I said to myself, $10,000, I'm going back to Bangladesh, I'm going to start a leadership center, and that's it. And how many of you have seen the film Titanic? Okay. So I said to myself, I am like the captain of the Titanic, and I'm building this ship for Bangladesh Youth Leadership Center. If for any reason it sinks, I'm going to be cool like the captain. I'm going to light up a cigar, wear a suit and say, this is it. But I am not going to quit. Because entrepreneurs don't quit. They stick with their dreams. They pursue their dreams. And if my dream dies, I die with my dream. But I'm not going to leave my dream. So I go back to Bangladesh and I launch BYLC. And for the first 3 years, so I run the pilot program with 30 kids. With 30 high school kids, we run the first program. So I run the pilot program, my co-founder goes back to MIT, and I come back with my parents after many years. And you know, none of you live with your parents, right? I mean, life is great. You can go back at 3 in the morning, you can party, whatever. So that was the kind of freedom I was used to when I was at St. Andrews, then when I was in the US. And then suddenly, because I have no money, I move in with my parents. You have 11 o'clock curfews. So you have to come back, and who are you hanging out with? I was not used to it. So I run the pilot program, I run out of money. Then I have this difficult conversation with my father. I said, listen, I know you love me, I love you too. Give me 6 months. Please, let's move the bed from the guest room in the house and let me use that as an office. I promise, after 6 months, I'm going to move out of that room. I ended up working from that room in my father's apartment for 3 years. But now we have our own office and everything. But for 3 years, I ended up working from my father's apartment. My journey was very difficult, but not everyone's journey has to be like that. I'm sure you're younger, so you're smarter. And you'll have more access to finance, and once you become entrepreneurs, which I hope many of you will, and you will not have to end up working in your parents' apartment for 3 years, maybe 3 months, and then you move on to your nice office. So, BYLC, the center, addresses 4 challenges. I am trying to solve 4 problems that exist in Bangladesh and around the world. 4 problems. The number 1 problem is there is no critical thinking, problem solving in the educational curriculum in Bangladesh. People are memorizing syllabus. It's rote learning. You have a divided education system. You have the British education system, you have the national curriculum, you have the Islamic curriculum. Bangladesh is a Muslim majority country. And kids from one background don't interact with kids from another background. And that's a problem. And that's a threat to peace and prosperity in the world. So we bring kids together, we provide them leadership education, and then we have brought this curriculum from Harvard. And the idea was, I was very privileged in my life to have the opportunity to go to St. Andrews and go to Harvard. And it's very easy in life to say that I have achieved this, without realizing that many of the things that we have in our life is just because we were born into a good situation. We were just lucky. And there are many people who are not as fortunate as us. So our idea was, how can we take a world-class curriculum, take it to Bangladesh, and make it available for young people who don't get these opportunities. So we provide leadership education. For the first 5 years, that's all I did. For the first 5 years. Then after running this center for 5 years, I realized many of our graduates like you are entering the job market. They're entering the job market. So how can we help our alumni find jobs? Like Harry is trying to do by organizing career fair, by bringing all the big banks here, making that connection. So we have the second challenge, lack of career services for young people. Our intervention is we have an office of professional development. We bring employers. You want to be an entrepreneur, I'll connect you with VCs. You want to run for office, we'll help you manage your campaign. So giving professional development services to our alumni. And the third challenge we are trying to address is the future of education, I believe, is online. You cannot ignore technology. And BYLC has a 10 to 20% acceptance rate. What happens to the remaining 80% who don't get into my classroom? For them, we have launched an online academy. Have you guys taken any courses on Coursera or MOOC? Anyone? No? You have? So you can sit here and take a course at MIT or Stanford and learn about the latest innovation, negotiation, leadership, just sitting here in Frankfurt. So all these courses are online. So through our online academy, we are democratizing leadership education. It doesn't matter where you're from. You are curious, you want to learn, you have access to our platform. We have a partnership with Facebook, with internet.org, and young people in Bangladesh on their mobile phone, no data charge, can access our curriculum. So that's the work that we are doing with the online leadership academy. And then we also believe you cannot transform a nation unless you work with teachers, because teachers are delivering the training. So with primary school, secondary school, tertiary teachers, we are working with teachers to build their leadership capability. If you have better instructors in the classroom, then they can transform the students' mind. So these are the 4 things that our center is working on. Any questions on what you have heard so far? Yes. So we started off as free, but now we charge something, a nominal registration fee, about $100, but it's a non-profit, it's heavily subsidized. But what I've also learned as an entrepreneur is people don't value free things. you value things when you pay for it. So now that we have started charging, we see students learn a lot more. They come to class on time, they're attentive, they make sure that their homeworks are graded. There's a lot more ownership when people pay. But it's a non-profit organization, dependent on funding from foundations and donors. But we're also trying to become more reliant. Does it make sense? Any other questions?
Is English like a second language in Bangladesh, or?
It is, yeah,
is
second
widespread?
language.
Okay, so all your
We're
programs
a British colony, so
Okay, yeah.
former British colony.
So all your programs are in English and no?
In Bengali,
Okay.
the national language.
Yeah.
So we run all our courses in Bangla. Any other reflections on what you've heard so far?
Why did you decide to go for high school students as opposed to, for example, universities?
We work with students aged between 13 and 24. So when you're in grade 6, we start working. We have a leadership course for them through storytelling. We have online, you can check it out. bylcx.bylc.org. It's in Bangla. So we have students for secondary school kids. We have student courses for high school kids, for university students as well.
What are your plans for the future? Are you trying to keep people up with learning English so that they can go on and continue doing some learning on international platforms such as the open source platforms as Coursera or Harvard or MIT?
Absolutely. And I've faced that question several times. I think my response would be, we are a leadership training institute. That's our core competence, and we are very focused. We do one thing, we try to do it and be the best in that. For other things, we have partners. So we have many other organizations in Bangladesh, like the British Council and many NGOs providing English training. That's not my unique strength. Why should I unnecessarily divert my energy in doing that when I can just focus on leadership and be really good at it? That's my personal strategy. It could be wrong, I don't know. I mean, the trend in the world seems to be you do everything, like Facebook. They're trying to eat up LinkedIn, they're just doing everything. Or Amazon. But we just focus on leadership education. So I want to now maybe take you to Bangladesh and just show you what a program looks like. Most of our courses are for 2.5 months. We have month-long courses. One of our programs is, because we believe that young people in Bangladesh should not just be competent in the Bangladeshi context, they have to be global citizens. So we have a summit which is international. We have young people from all over the world coming to Bangladesh. In 2014, we had around 20 countries, young people your age, coming to Bangladesh. I bring professors from Harvard, from Oxford to Bangladesh, and all senior government people are there. In 2016, unfortunately, there was a terrorist attack on the 1st of July in Bangladesh. And because of this terrorist attack, many of the international students from Europe and America were not very confident to come to Bangladesh. But still, we had young people from 8 countries coming to Bangladesh to learn about leadership. So I'll show you a short. I need your help. Okay, you're the tech guy. Clearly, I'm not in the technology business. You can tell. Is that sound? No? How? Can anyone figure this out? You have a sound system. I can look at the.
I think you have to switch it on this table.
On the screen there.
On the screen. It's right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Audio is on. Audio is on.
My expectations from the summit were to understand the social impacts faced in Bangladesh.
I want to see how youths in Bangladesh are mobilizing themselves. And we're hoping to make a lot of connections, make new friends. I feel that the topic of this summit, connect, collaborate, and co-create, is very important, and it itself conveys a lot of positive message.
আমাদের জাতি হিসাবে যে কয়েকটি অর্জন আমাদের রয়েছে সমস্ত অর্জনগুলি কিন্তু সংগঠিত করেছে আমাদের গর্বিত যুব সমাজ
The future of Bangladesh is in the hands of the new generation. This youth summit has also given the younger generation an opportunity to interact and meet with each other.
You're the ones who are going to make it happen, and you're the ones who are going to benefit from it.
Leadership involves mobilizing a group of people to face a common challenge so that they can make progress on it.
There is power of positive thinking. I think youth is power, and we must believe in that.
How fortunate you are to have the opportunity to trade ideas. Make sure you're able to give back to your communities and share all the experiences that you've learned here at UIS.
I think it's a wonderful initiative that BYLC has taken, engaging with the youth on leadership.
Change ourselves.
It's been incredibly energizing for me. I'm positive and excited about the future of Bangladesh.
The butterfly flaps its wings in one part of the world, there can be a storm in another part.
The ability, the inspiration to be an agent of change, to realize that they can make a difference.
Leaders, they say, are born, not made, and I wonder whether you agree with that. I very definitely don't. I think leadership, like almost everything else, is learnable and should be learned.
Leadership is not just about leading a bunch of people or telling them what to do. It actually has steps to it and methods to it, and that it can be learned.
This summit is extraordinarily informative. We thought we were working. We got to share each other's ideas.
I'm enjoying every second.
Any reflections on that? What worked? What could have been better? Something you didn't like? Something you liked? Feedback?
Is it common that a lot of girls are participating in the program?
Sorry?
Is it common that so many girls are participating in the program? Or is it, I don't know how it is because it's, as you said, it's a really Muslim Semitic country. So is it okay that so many girls are participating for other male characters?
So one is we have a selection process. We try to accept 50% boys, 50% girls. So we have a selection process that takes place. I think in Bangladesh we are a progressive country. The Prime Minister is a female, the Leader of the Opposition is a female, the Speaker of the Parliament is a female. I think even when some countries in the world are not ready for a female president, we've made quite a bit of progress, given the fact we're a Muslim majority country. Any other reflections? You're very quiet, and that's a symptom of what? One, you're bored, you're thinking, you're disengaged. What should I make out of this data that I'm observing? That you're all very quiet.
I think it's because the majority of our lectures is like the lecturer is speaking and we're just listening. And I think also a lot of students, including with myself, do not feel so comfortable speaking in front of other people and in English, because English is not the best.
It's perfect. So what you just said is, if we are a system in this room, see three, you can be three, right? You're a part of the system. I am the authority. At least for this session, it's my job to generate learning in this classroom. That's why you're giving me attention, isn't it? So I am the authority. And why are we here in this classroom? To learn about leadership. That's the work at the center. That's the work at the center. But you are expecting the authority to do 100% of the work. But if you don't take ownership of your part of the work, we will not make progress. And that's the challenge with leadership. That we expect someone else to solve our problems. I give you attention, you do the talking, make it entertaining, make it interesting, and do something so that I can learn about leadership. So you are expecting me to solve your problem. Whose job is it to learn about leadership so that you can run your father's business? It's your job. It's not my job. I already have my part of the problem. It's not my job to figure out how you are going to practice leadership in the financial sector. It's your job. But you are expecting me to do the talking and solve the problem. But unless people who are part of the system don't take ownership of their part of the problem, the system will not make progress. And that's one of the things I have learned by working with young people, by working with clients in the private, public and non-profit sectors, is our expectations from authority are they will solve our problems. To be more specific, our expectations from authority are they will give us order, they will give us direction, they will give us protection. And our relationship with authority begins on our day one in this world. When you were in your first day in this world, you looked at your mother. When you needed food, you cried. You didn't feel safe, you looked at your mother. Then you saw your mother putting her hand on this man. And you started to trust your father. And that's how we develop our relationship with authority. Whenever we are faced with a problem, we look at authority to solve our problems. And that is fine. That is fine. When the problems are known, when you know what the solution is, authority can solve the problem. You broke an arm, you go to the doctor. The doctor has the expertise. The doctor is going to fix your arm. But you are living in a world that is changing so rapidly. How will anyone be able to tell you what the next 10 years will look like? If robots will replace our jobs, we don't know what the next 10 years will look like. There is no way you can know what your career is going to look like. So no leader or authority in the world can give you direction when the solutions are unknown. And my argument would be when society, community, organizations are faced with problems that don't have any clear solution, that is when you need leadership. If your problems are clearly defined, authority alone can solve the problem. But authority is not the same as leadership. And the problem, with all due respect to Harry, this is where I would, with a lot of humility, differ slightly from what is taught in traditional methods. Too much of our focus is on this authority person. Who is the authority? The traits approach of leadership is going to talk about the authority. What are the characteristics? The situationalist theory would argue that it's not the qualities that make the leader, but the situation, as you have learned. But if you ask both of these groups of people, who is the leader here, they would point to the same person, the authority. That's the leader. The transformation of all these schools of leadership are talking about the authority figure. But I think, given the nature of the problems we are facing in the 21st century, in today's rapidly changing world, we ought to pay less attention to authority and more attention to the work in the center. What is the work? And anyone in this system who is mobilizing a group to make progress on the work is practicing leadership. So there is a difference between leader and leadership. No one does leadership 24 hours a day. And what we mean by leader is usually the CEO, the member of the parliament, the president, the chancellor, the person who is holding the title, the chair. That's what we refer to when we talk about who is the leader. But I think we ought to spend more time thinking about who is doing the leadership, not who is the leader. Because often our leaders are not doing any leadership. We have people in positions of power, but they're not doing any leadership. So what use is it for society if we are just calling them leaders? So leader and leadership. To clarify the distinction a bit more, one way of thinking about when do we need authority, when do we need leadership, is to think about problems. Because the starting point of any conversation on leadership should be, what is the problem we're trying to solve? Right? In society, broadly, there are two types of problems. You have technical problems and you have adaptive problems. Technical problems are routine problems. Technical problems are routine problems. Do any one of you in this room have a parent who has a heart problem? Anyone? Okay. So that makes two of us. So, my father has been suffering from heart disease for a long time, since 1999. And he had a bypass operation in 2013. So, when you think about a heart problem, what is the technical problem here? You have arteries in our heart, they get blocked, right? Clogged with fat. And then you have a heart attack. What's the solution to a blocked artery? The solution is a bypass operation. Who will do the operation? The doctor will do the operation. The person with the technical expertise is going to do the operation. Right? So in 2013, my father has his bypass operation. 2014, he again has chest pain. What happened? After the doctor operated, the doctor said, Iqbal, you will only be fine if you finally now quit smoking, if you don't eat unhealthy food, and if you walk at least 1 hour a day. 3 advice. And the doctor said, I have done my part of the work. I have done your operation. But if you don't do your part of the work, the problem will again come back. And he failed to change his lifestyle. That was his adaptive challenge, to change his behavior. But he failed to change his behavior. And in 2017, he again has heart problem. He was in the hospital 2 months ago. And he's again going to go, after 1 week, to a different doctor. And my father questions the credibility of the doctor, saying the doctors are not good, in Bangladesh particularly. The medicine they give is not good. So he is blaming the doctor when he is failing to change his own lifestyle. No doctor in the world can save you unless you change your own lifestyle. But people fail, refuse to bring adaptive change. We expect others to solve our problems. So when you are facing an adaptive challenge, in your organization, your father has run his business in a certain way, and you're the next generation, you have your own ideas, how do you blend in? Where is the middle ground? Where some part of the old has to be discarded, some part of the new has to come in for innovation. That will require learning for yourself and for your parents and for people in the organization. So when you are facing an adaptive challenge, the problem definition is it requires learning. And every person with the problem has to learn something new, has to change their behavior, has to change their habit, has to change their value. But we all have a learning plan for other people. We never have a learning plan for ourselves. It's so easy for me to say, you know what, I think you need to learn 3 things. But when was the last time we pointed finger at ourselves and said, you know what, I need to learn 3 things. How I can pay more attention in the classroom so that I am fully invested. So when I graduate from this university, I have the leadership capabilities to make my voice heard, to mobilize a group of people, to influence people, to deliver results. When was the last time we said it? That I need to change. We all want to change other people. But we never want to change ourselves. And that is why adaptive change is so difficult. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Any reflections on what you have heard so far? Look, I'm a very frank person. You can just say that Ejaj, what you're saying is bullshit, it's fine. You can give me your honest feedback.
I just think that you're totally right, and that's why I say, okay, I put a finger on myself and speak out loud to you and say that your point was right. So, to be a little bit more communicative in this lecture today.
I actually don't really agree, because I think I'm not in the position to say to anyone you need to do this or you need to be different, because now I just think, okay, I really need to sit down and start studying instead of pointing out to my friends and say start studying. So I don't think my life is right now in this situation where I point out to somebody else to say what they have to do or what they have to change.
How is that inconsistent with what we have said so far? You want to respond to her?
Yeah, I guess you got it a little bit wrong, because he was actually saying that you should not point out a finger on somebody else. So you should rather point out your finger on yourself and say, I need to change.
Yeah.
I need to solve the problem. I need to be adaptive.
Yeah, but actually I don't think I'm in this situation right now, because I don't say for myself, I don't see myself right now pointing out at others.
No, it's about not pointing out to others. It's about pointing out to yourself. To say yourself, okay, I need to change. Right? No, that I'm wrong.
Look, what's your name?
Yasmin.
Yasmin?
Yeah.
Okay. So Yasmin, think of it this way. There must be something in this world that bothers you. Some issue in this world that bothers you at a personal level. And that issue can be your opportunity for leadership. For you to make an intervention, to make progress on it. But it's easy for you to say, I am not in a position of authority, so what can I do? What difference can my voice make? I think that's a missed opportunity. Each one of us, myself included, need to grab more opportunities to make a difference, to make a contribution. And that requires us to recognize that if I am part of a system and this system is in a mess, then I am also contributing to this mess.
Okay, so you mean like not closing your eyes in front of all these problems that are around me?
Yes, but you cannot also pick all of the problems, then you will feel overwhelmed. Pick a problem that matters most to you. Because my assumption is people only exercise leadership when they deeply care about something. When you deeply care about an issue. Otherwise, why would you take on this difficult task of getting out of your comfort zone? There will not be any compelling reason for you to step out of your comfort zone. See, Yasmin, that's your scope of authority. Your parents, your teachers, they've all authorized you. That Yasmin, we will love you as long as you are inside this scope of authority. What we expect from you. But fulfilling other people's expectations is not an act of leadership. Leadership happens when you're dancing at the edge of your authority. When you're pushing the boundary. When the doctor is saying to the patient, look, I can operate on your heart, but unless you change your behavior, this problem is not going to disappear. When politicians say to citizens, we can have the best fiscal policy, we can control the inflation, but unless citizens are responsible spenders, unless we manage our greed, the economy is not going to grow. So there is only so much authority can do. But if each one of us in this room, we started dancing on the edge of the authority, pushing the boundary, running an experiment to make a progress, giving ourselves the permission that it can fail. Unless you give yourself the permission to fail, you can never innovate. Because innovation has a high failure rate. Innovation in the financial sector has an even higher failure rate. My wife is doing her MBA at Stanford, so I spend a lot of time in Palo Alto. I've got a lot of friends in Silicon Valley who are running tech startups. One of my friends is trying to radically redefine the financial sector. And he told me the funders who backed Uber are the same funders that are backing him. And his idea is, his thinking, the whole financial model is based on the idea you have a car or you have a mobile phone, you make a payment. He said, why do we need an economy like this? So his model is, you go to a shop, they look at your photo, by looking at the topography of your face, your payment is done. You don't need anything. You go to a mall, you look, your payment's done, so you avoid the queues. It has a very high failure rate, it has a high possibility of failure, but if he succeeds, that's going to change the way the financial world operates. Amazon right now is tinkering with the idea that your refrigerator is going to say the eggs are finished. So your refrigerator is going to give a message to Amazon. Amazon is going to give a message to Whole Foods. Whole Foods is going to ship your eggs. It's going to be on a drone. It's going to come in front of your door. All you have to do is open the door and put the eggs in your fridge. It has a high failure rate, but if they are successful, it's going to change the way we shop. That's the reality. But these innovations are happening because people are willing to expand the scope of their authority. They're taking risks. One sure way of becoming redundant is by staying inside the scope of authority. By saying that we are successful, why do I need to take the risk? But unless you exceed your scope of authority, unless you run experiments, unless you have the courage that yes, we can fail, but I'm going to try something new, how will innovation happen? So, our friend over here, what's your name? Yes, Tina. So Tina clearly is playing with her phone, which is making me upset. Or you checks me out online. That's not the best use of your time. You're supposed to pay attention to authority. So I am so upset with Tina, and I give her a punch now. What would happen?
I would love to.
If I punch Tina, what would happen right now? She will be embarrassed. What's your name? Amol. Amo. Amo is going to get fired up. And he's going to say, how dare you South Asian guy, you come to Frankfurt and you hit my friend. He's going to throw me out of this classroom. So me punching Tina right now would be a noble failure. Noble failures happen when the risk you take is disproportionate to your scope of authority. And that's something I must also warn you when you're thinking about leadership, when you're thinking about risk, when you're thinking about experiments. Don't be at that noble failure. First figure out what is my scope of authority and then push the limit. If I went back in 2008 and I told my father, Dad, I need this room for 3 years, that would be a noble failure. come gradually. You cannot force it. It has to be incremental. In politics, normal failures look like assassinations. And we know so many politicians who were assassinated. Martin Luther King. And it's a more common phenomenon in South Asia, the part of the world I come in. Leaders in my country get shot. They get taken out of the game because they push so much, people cannot take it anymore. And people start thinking that you are the problem. And by removing you from the system, the problem will disappear. So that's another reason. That's another reason why you should separate yourself from the problem. So that people don't make you the problem. You are focusing on the work. This is the work that needs to be done. Class, we need to pay attention to our learning of leadership. If I make the whole issue about myself, then you will think by taking me out of this class is going to solve your problem. So, making that distinction that the problem and the person are separate. And the work of leadership is not to draw attention to yourself, but to draw attention to the work. But often we see people drawing attention to themselves because it's seductive. We feel like the big man. I have 1,000 likes or 10,000 likes on social media. We have a huge following. But it's not about who is following you. It's about, is the work moving forward? Leadership is about the work at the center, not about who is following who. And any intervention in this system that takes the work forward is an act of leadership. So if you think in this way, leadership can be seen as a three-step process. The first step is you observe. You see where people are at. Once you have observed, then you make interpretations. So when I am looking at this class, and I'm seeing so many of you are silent, I have to make an interpretation. Is this class silent because this class is bored? They're not engaging. My content needs to change. Why is this group silent? One interpretation could be this class is now thinking. So, based on my interpretation, I am going to make my next intervention. But have you attended lectures? Well, I have, that's why I'm asking you, where the professor is just talking and talking without recognizing if the students are listening. Has it happened?
Yes. Basically all the lectures.
Except this course. You also have to protect yourself. Okay, so you observe, then you interpret. When you're observing, you're getting raw data. When you make interpretations, you make multiple interpretations. What does this data mean? There is no one correct interpretation. So develop this capacity. Whenever you look at any data, try to make multiple interpretations. Why is this person behaving this way? And then you make your intervention. Once you have made your intervention, then again go back and observe. What happened to your intervention? So if I'm just talking and no one is listening, then I'm just intervening, I'm not observing. If I am just talking and someone is coming to the classroom and I'm still talking, then I have made the choice to ignore that person. So that person's learning at that moment is not important because he did not get my message. Am I correct? How are you feeling? What could be some interpretations of I feel fine? I don't feel fine. I don't know what to say. When are you going to shut up? What else? Don't bother me. So, my challenge now is to figure out, do I want to bring her into the conversation or ignore her and move with the class? Because she could become my casualty. She could leave this program without benefiting or learning anything from what we have discussed so far. So what should be my intervention? Just continue the class, but what happens to her learning? So we also have to pay attention to everyone in the room. When you are speaking, if you are trying to mobilize a group, if you don't pay attention to your audience, then how will you see who is with you, who is not with you? Because the people who will come after you are the people who did not get your message. So it's very important for you to pay attention to who is listening to you and also to who is not listening to you. Yes?
Well, you once said that not only the authority has the responsibility for the work, she is a student, so she has to be on time. She also has to involve herself better, so if she ain't doing her part of the job, you're getting nowhere. So.
Excellent. So why don't you take the leadership in the next class? When someone is late, just tell them 4 o'clock is 4 o'clock. 4 or 5, that's it. That's an opportunity for you. Right? You can turn up the heat and say, look, this is it, because it's affecting the learning of everyone in the room. So that's an opportunity. Maybe you can start practicing here, and then when you're running your business, your dad's business, fantastic. You can be strict with your people, and then you have a lot of discipline in the organization. Excellent. So we have to wrap up. We have a couple of minutes left. I promise.
Take your time.
But you gave me 1 hour, so
take your time.
I should be respectful.
You can have more.
What could be some interpretations of that?
Comfortable, like listening to you and holding the lecture itself.
Alright, so to wrap things up, some tangible things that you can take away, okay? If leadership is a risky thing, it involves pushing the boundary of your authority. It involves telling people, hey look, you need to change. And it involves facing resistance from people. What are some steps and tools we can practice on a daily basis to improve our chances of success? You will never get it 100% right. No one gets it right. The first step is we need to develop courage. The first step is we need to be more courageous. We become courageous by taking more risks. By taking more risks. So if a friend is not paying attention, then calling out that behavior, hey look, you're also affecting my learning. It's not just about you. You're part of the group. Your behavior has an impact on the whole class. Because I'm here to learn. But that would be a risky conversation because your friend may get offended. And then to also tell to your friend, look, I am criticizing your behavior, not you. There is a difference between the problem and you. It's your particular behavior when you're talking in the classroom and not engaging that is disruptive for the learning of the group. And expanding the scope of your authority. Because no one will authorize you to exercise leadership, not even your boss. when you land your dream job in the financial sector. The first thing they will do to stop you from practicing leadership is they'll call you a leader. You're a young leader, you're a future leader, you're a global leader. And by calling you a leader, they put you in your job description, that this is what I expect you to do. But when you're fulfilling other people's expectation, you're not practicing leadership. So you have to expand the scope of your authority. That's the first step. How can we become more courageous? The second step is competence. When we think about competence, we think about developing a diagnostic mindset. Think about the job of leadership as the job of a doctor. When you go to a doctor, does the doctor immediately prescribe a medicine? No. The doctor will first diagnose the problem. Will run some blood tests. Will diagnose the real cause of the problem. And then the doctor will prescribe. But often in the practice of leadership, we jump to solution. You have a problem, here's my solution. So we all have to develop our capability of diagnosing problems. And when you are diagnosing a problem, ask yourself the question, what part of the problem is technical? What part of the problem is adaptive? Technical problems are here. We solve them using expert knowledge. Adaptive problems are here, below the neck. They involve our emotion, our behavior, our heart. How many people in this room are smokers? I'm not going to raise my hand because I'm not, but I'm just, due to solidarity. So how many of you are smokers in this room?
Impossible.
Wow. Statistically, the data I have when I look outside and the data in the room don't match up. But I will trust you. If I said to you, 101 reasons why you should not smoke, you will not change your behavior. Just by engaging at a logical level, you cannot change a smoker's heart. If you have to change the smoker's behavior, you have to engage with the heart. And acknowledge the loss the smoker is going to have. Because the smoker is also an intelligent person. The smoker knows that my chance of having lung cancer is uncertain. But my loss is immediate. When people are calculating immediate loss versus uncertain benefits, they prefer the immediate loss. They pay more attention to the immediate loss. That's why we cannot change their behavior. So to have that capacity to diagnose a situation, why are people behaving in this way? What are the reasons? What's the technical part that I can solve? What's the adaptive part? I need to have a courageous conversation. That look, you need to change your behavior. How can we work together on this? That requires a diagnostic mindset, and we can start practicing it on a daily basis. So, you have courage, you have competence. And the third thing, which I think is critical for the practice of leadership, is to have the human element, the heart, the compassion. Unless you feel for people, there would be no compelling reason for you to practice leadership. So how can you be with people, and as you prepare to graduate from the university, how can you build a capability in yourself that you speak to inspire people? And you listen with empathy. To inspire means to reach people's heart from a deeper source of meaning. And we all know that words can even move mountains. So how can you build the capability that you speak to inspire people? And you listen with genuine curiosity. You're trying to understand what is your pain, what is your suffering, what is your concern. With that genuine empathy, we can connect with other people. Leadership cannot just happen when I'm just thinking on my own. Leadership involves a group of people. And unless I can connect with other people, unless I have the human element, how will I mobilize other people? How will I move other people towards a common goal? So we need to have courage, we need to have competence, we need to have compassion. And for the next 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, as you move forward in your careers, I want to end with some of the common traps that I have seen leaders too often fall victim to. Some of the common traps that if you can start thinking about them from now, you can be better prepared to avoid those mistakes in your life. So the first is managing yourself. What do we mean by managing oneself? Human beings have three basic types of hunger. We all have a hunger for affirmation that others will have. You're amazing. You're great. You're the woman. You can do this. And you're thinking, yes, I am the woman. I can do this. And you're running. And people are clapping. And you are shouldering everyone else's responsibility. And they're clapping because if they clap, they don't have to do the work. Right? So, how much hunger do we have for affirmation? How much approval do we seek from others? We have to manage that. If you want to become the most popular person in the room, you cannot practice leadership. Because leadership involves telling people what they don't want to hear. Leadership involves telling people what they don't want to hear. But if you want to be liked all the time, then it will be difficult for you to tell people that, hey, you need to take ownership of your part of the work. I cannot just solve all your problems, or I cannot solve all of our collective problems. So managing our hunger for affirmation. We all have a hunger for control. We all want to feel important. But how much emphasis, value do we put on our hunger for control? That we have to be in charge. That I am the boss. That I have to influence other people. If you have too much hunger for control, then you will not have the ability to give people the space to go through the disequilibrium, to go through the chaos that is required for groups to figure out what from my past do I take to the future, what from my past do I discard. So chaos, disequilibrium sometimes is useful for the practice of leadership because it gives people the space to figure out what is it that I've learned so far in my life that will be useful for my future, what is it that I've learned that will no longer be useful for me, that I have to discard. So you have to manage your hunger for control. And the third is you have to manage your hunger for intimacy. And this hunger is not so important for a 23-year-old. As a general rule of thumb, I think mistakes at a personal level are a lot more, society, communities are a lot more forgiving till you're 30. But we all have to recognize our own hungers for love and intimacy and how we manage them. And we all know examples of too many leaders in the world who have fallen from grace with so much potential, so much brilliance. Some of the smartest people in the world have made some of the dumbest mistakes. And they have taken their family, they have taken their community, they have taken their countries down with them. When you cannot manage your own hunger for intimacy. If there is a void in your personal life, that affects your behavior in the professional life. So being aware of our own hungers, what is affecting me? Unless I can manage myself, how will I manage other people?
example here? Because I can't make the connection between the intimacy point.
So Bill Clinton is I think is a very appropriate example for failing to manage personal hunger for intimacy. And as a student of leadership, my job was also to read biographies of all these leaders and what went through in their lives. And I think the week that Bill Clinton had that challenging situation with the intern in the White House, Hillary was not in the White House. He was going through tremendous professional pressure. The whole White House was empty. And he just couldn't manage himself. But if Bill Clinton had only recognized his own vulnerability, then he could have built in systems to protect himself. So we manage ourselves, but we manage ourselves also with the help of our relationships. And the relationships with allies, confidants, and yourself. We all need to have partners in life. You cannot go through the journey of leadership on your own. And the critical distinction I want to make is your allies and confidants are similar but different. Your allies are people who care about your issue. Your allies are people who care about your issue, but not necessarily about you. So you're in an organization. Your ally can be someone who cares about the particular challenge you're working on. Political oppositions can be allies on a particular issue. Your confidants are people who don't care about your issue, but they care about you as a person. They don't care if you get that job in the financial sector, but they care about your mental well-being, your physical well-being. So you need to start cultivating relationships with both allies, who can be your mentors, who can be a favorite professor. You can have a lunch every month and say, hey, I want to have lunch with you, can you advise me how I can plan my career? A monthly lunch or a monthly breakfast with a mentor, someone you trust, who can guide you, who has walked the path that you want to walk in the next 10 years so that you don't make all the mistakes, because life is too short for you to make all the mistakes. You have to learn from other people's mistakes. And then also cultivating relationship with your confidants, people you trust, people who care about you. And finally, managing your relationship with yourself. What is your purpose in life? Why are you here in this world? What are you trying to achieve? Is life just about, I was born, I go to university, I get a job, and at Harvard they've done a lot of studies, and they've seen that Harvard graduates mostly start thinking about purpose in life when they're 45 to 50, when they've had their first heart problem. That's when they realize that I'm not going to be around forever, and life cannot be just about money. Yes, money is important. We all care about money. Money gives us the freedom. But the purpose of life cannot be just the pursuit of wealth. There has to be a bigger purpose in life. Why are you in this world? What are you running after? And what is it that you want to live behind? So to have that space where you can reflect on a daily basis. It can be a physical space like a sanctuary, where you go for a walk, or once a month, or once in 6 months. You reflect on your own purpose. We spend so much time moisturizing our skin. Well, I do. I'm sure all of you do too. But we don't moisturize our heart. Reflection is the moisturizer for your heart. Reflecting on your own purpose in life. What is it that I'm trying to achieve? Why am I here? And what is it that will endure, that will stay when I am gone? So I hope some of this was somewhat useful. I hope some of them stick around. And I know all of you are extremely bright. So my final wish for all of you, may you have a long life and may you have a life of prosperity, and may you also have a life of purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, really. Thank you so much. Wonderful, inspiring, and insightful, and a very interesting view of leadership, leader, authoritative, affiliative, and emotional intelligence. It was a really integration of leadership for the future, and so it was really not only impressive, it was inspiring. So for me, and also I think for you. And so we have now the time for questions, and we have time to discuss your lecture and some ideas. Who has any questions? This is a big chance today to discuss about leadership. So, any questions here? Please to him.
How do you avoid being a noble thinker? Like, how do you know how far you can push the boundary of your authority?
I thought this was your session now. So one is running experiments, taking small risks. Before you take a big risk, before you invest all of your parents' savings in your business idea, invest a few $1,000s, do a prototype and see if it works. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's a noble failure. Take a small risk, see if it works, and then you go to the next experiment. More questions?
As far as I heard from your biography, you didn't mention that you worked for in a leadership position as far as now. How did you, like, saying that you know even more than the people who are already have been working so long in the leadership, that you can just teach them more than they know, just to convince them?
Let me understand your question. So I work with people who are older than me, or?
You are just teaching younger
people.
But there are no people who are coming to you just asking for advice.
A lot of people come for advice, but look, I think as a teacher, my job is to facilitate. I don't have any solution. I can share some of my reflections. As a teacher, I also get to hear a lot of people's stories. So I share a lot of stories that I hear. And from that, people can generate learning. I think it's very arrogant for me to come and say here, I've just met you for 1 hour. This advice is going to work for you. That's not right. So we share insights, and then we see what works for some people, what doesn't work for some people, what works in a particular context. Having that curiosity, I think, is quite important.
More questions?
What is
you
it?
Cannot, yeah, but I mean, so Harry, I think.
No. Take your time.
Okay.
Now this is.
But I thought this was your time.
No.
But if you give me the permission,
this is my gift.
Then I also want to give you a gift, which is you have paid a lot of attention. You've been a lovely audience. If you want to leave, please also feel free. It's totally fine.
Questions?
What is your general view on the entrepreneurship scene in Bangladesh? Because for me, from an outsider perspective, it's quite interesting how this country is really pushing forward in empowering people, and especially people like Muhammad Yunus with Grameen Bank is really pushing forward into empowering women. And I think it's one of the countries that is really kicking off in this kind of topic, especially compared to the other countries in Southeast Asian region.
So I think generally South Asia has very strong entrepreneurial culture. You know, when you have little, you have to fight for everything in life. You have to step out of your comfort zone. Bangladesh today is growing at 7%. And I speak at many places in Europe, when I talk to people at Brussels, when I talk to people in London, Manchester or Amsterdam. The challenge here, I think, is people already have a very comfortable life. And when you have a comfortable life, what's your incentive for taking risks? In Bangladesh, people have little. And that's why the hunger is there, that people want to grow. People are hungry for achieving something. So I think that hunger is very important for entrepreneurship. And I see that in Silicon Valley, especially in a lot of the business schools in the US. There's a strong culture that, 30%, 20% of MBA students will go out and start their own companies. They'll fail, but they'll start something.
Yeah. In your personal life, which person inspired you the most, especially from whom you learned the most about leadership? In your personal life.
So I learned about leadership from different people at different stages. My first boss, when I was 23, who I worked with, was the former CEO of 5 banks. Former CEO of 5 commercial banks in Bangladesh. Just to give you some context, the former CEO of one bank is extremely wealthy. He was the CEO of 5 banks, and yet when I used to work with him, we used to finish office at 9 p.m. and I used to see him take the public transport to his home. And that was a very powerful lesson in humility, that your achievement in life is not proportional to your expenditure or your lifestyle. So that was very powerful for me when I was 23. When I was at Harvard, I also had an advisor who was a Rhodes Scholar. He was a great public servant. Eventually became the Prime Minister's advisor in Bangladesh. He's on our board. He also taught me the value of public service. That life is not all about taking, it's also about giving. That was very powerful for me. In 2007, I was in the Obama campaign. And we are influenced by events that shape our time. If I was a graduate student in America now, I would be greatly inspired by Elon Musk, who I think is tremendously inspiring, who is trying to figure out how to make human beings multi-planetary, who has the audacity to think that I was born in this earth, I'm going to die in Mars. How many of us think of dying in Mars? But that's what he's working for. But in 2007, when I was in the Obama campaign, I was fascinated by him, by his life story, by his journey, and what a black man was able to accomplish in a very complex environment. So he greatly influenced me at that time. These days, lately, I read a lot about Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, about entrepreneurs, Jeff Bezos, how he has built Amazon. It took him 20 years. Amazing story. I read a lot about Elon Musk, how he's building his companies. So I draw inspiration from them, and of course, in my own humble way, try to apply some of those learnings in a small organization.
More questions? Please. By assessing an entrepreneurial team, what would you say are the most important teams to say or traits to investing, for example, in the startup, especially in this team?
So, are you talking about from an investor's perspective or from
an investor's perspective?
From an investor's perspective. So, an investor, first of all, does not want to invest in a single founder organization, because entrepreneurship is very difficult, particularly your startup years, the first, second, third years. So, it's very important for you to have a co-founder. The number one thing an investor would look for is complementary skills. If you're good in finance, then you have a good person in product. What is your product? Someone needs to have product expertise on the product, if it's healthcare or whatever your subject is. So looking for complementary skills, looking for the strength of the team, how committed you are. So these are some of the things investors would look at in the team composition. In addition to the power of your idea, is it market ready? What's the future? What's your ability to execute your idea? But having a strong team is very important. And I think finding your co-founder can sometimes be more difficult than finding your spouse, your life partner. So both of them are very consequential. critical for your success in life.
I think something that we've all noticed was your voice during this lecture. It's quite significantly loud. I mean, not in a bad way, positively. Was it something inborn for you, or you said these are my leadership skills, or was it rather that you said that's something that I need to learn in order to be a leader one day? I mean, talking in front of a big audience.
I was always a terrible public speaker. I was very bad. When I first ran my campaign at St. Andrews, where I got elected, I thought about a great speech and I stood up and all I could say is, I'm running. Please vote for me. And I forgot everything. I was so ashamed then. But I had to work very hard because it did not come to me naturally. So I practiced a lot. In 2003, when I ran for the presidency, I had one of my professors, Shane Bonetti, an Australian guy, brilliant lecturer. I worked with him. And Shane Bonetti gave me advice. I used to write my speeches, go in front of the North Sea. St. Andrews is just by the North Sea, and just practice my speeches in the morning. Then I joined the Toastmasters Club. I did a lot of, speaking in Toastmasters. I took 3 courses on communication. I read a lot. I look at TED Talks. I recently finished reading Chris's book on TED Talks. He has a great book on public speaking. All of you must have a look at that. The TED Advice on Public Speaking. So a lot of practice. I'm not a natural speaker.
And what are the reasons some professors come to visit you in Bangladesh and some don't, and how many do you have to ask, and how many actually come?
It's very difficult because we're a non-profit. So one of my role models was, say, Clay Christensen. He's a Harvard Business School professor. Okay, he would charge a lot of money to come to Bangladesh, which I cannot do. So I have to pick up the phone and say, look, I am doing meaningful work. I am giving you an opportunity to influence the life of 400 students. That must be more than $100,000. So come and give us 1 hour of your time. And they have come. We've been able to attract a lot of high-profile speakers. They come to Bangladesh, they love it, they engage with young people. Look, I am also giving people an opportunity. That I am bringing the best and the brightest from all over the country. And you have this ability to influence people. That's a huge opportunity. I think that's why people come. When people see that they have an opportunity to have an impact, they're inspired. And that's my job. And most of the people we invite have made a lot of money anyway. So it's not that they're really struggling for a plane ticket or a speech. They can afford to take a few days off.
Please?
Is this the same reason you are here, or what drives you to come here and speak for us? Because we get the learning and you want to give us an opportunity, or do you have other reasons for being here?
Two reasons. One is the opportunity to learn from you, to share ideas with you. I find that inspiring. And the second is I am inspired by universities. That's one of my ultimate goals in life, to create a world-class institution in Bangladesh for the youth of South Asia. And even when I was talking to him in the morning, when I looked at this theater, what do you call it?
Lecture theater.
Lecture theater. I was fascinated. So my organization is turning 10 in 2019. I'm going to launch a big campaign to buy land and to build an infrastructure like this. So when I come here, when I look at what's there, it reminds me what's possible. I took a few photos. I'm going to send them on WhatsApp and Facebook to my team. And I'm going to say, look, today the 26th of June is an Eid day in Bangladesh. Eid is sort of Christmas. But I gave him a commitment that I'm going to come, and I thought, this has made the perfect Eid for me because I love universities. It's just something that I'm fascinated by, and I had the opportunity to study at ancient universities, so I find it very inspiring. And interacting with you has also been very inspiring for me.
Questions? How can you communicate or transform your ideas leadership, leader to people with 15, 16 years?
They are brilliant. They love it. They're very good learners. And we have 15, 16-year-old instructors in BYNC who teach 13-year-olds. And we have videos of that on YouTube also. They're amazing. They talk about, authority and leadership are not the same. Let's focus on the what. If you can explain things in a simple way, young people will learn. They take initiative. And for a 13-year-old, it's all about taking initiative. Go plant 10 trees. Don't litter on the street. Take initiative from a young age, and then you start developing those skills.
Question? Please.
I think this group is now done. Now they're being polite.
Okay. What question? The last one? Okay, then once again, thank you very much for the debate, the discussion.